This is the latest picture we took, and that was in Boone. You remember that? That's the latest. This, we lived outside of Elkin in a place called Arlington. There's James and Edith and Mildred and my mother and my daddy and Rachel and Bill and Jean and me and Buddy and Bobby Chambers. And this is Sharon. That's James and Edith's oldest daughter. I remember that. Now, who is this with J.D.? This is J.D., our adopted brother. And I don't know who that is. That's some little baby he's got. And this is Aunt Martha. Is that Aunt Martha?
That's mother.
Is that our mother? Mm-hmm. It looks like Aunt Martha.
She had her nurse's uniform on or something. The picture was all spotted up.
And this is Mildred. And is that Buddy? Or is that Bobby?
Bobby.
Bobby. And this is your daddy.
Look at that handsome thing.
And that's Bobby. And this is Mildred. It's Mitty and Jean. And this is Mitty and Jean.
This is the Jenkins.
And this is the house that we were all born in except Mildred. And this is the house when they bought it, probably, or thereabouts. And then this is the way it was.
Is that the tree that fell down?
No. Here's the tree that you saw that they cut down right there. When we came by there and you counted 72 rings on it.
Yeah.
This is a family get-together in Union Grove.
Is that at the gym?
At our old house, and that was probably about
1943.
40, right before we sold it, 43 maybe. Here's my daddy. Here's Wilford and Ann. Here's Wilford and Ann. Let's see who this is. That's Daddy. That's my daddy. He was a good-looking dude.
Yeah, he was. He's at Templeton all over, too.
Now here is Bobby Chambers. And there's Jean. And here's Melvin. And there's Pete. And this must be Sharon, and I don't know which one of them. That might be Beth. I'm not sure. Susan. And here's Bobby and Billy Murray. Bobby and Billy Murray. Now here's Wilford. That's the second time he was in the service. First time he was in the Navy. And that's James. And
Was he in the Navy the second time, too?
no, I don't know who that is. That's none of us. Here's,
Is this Jeff?
But I was looking to get a picture just to see.
I don't know who that is. Here's,
Helen, is this Jeff? This
who
looks
is
like
that
Jeff.
I'd say that's Jeff Templeton.
That's what I'd say. Dad, look at this. This is spooky. Let me see that picture, Aunt Helen. I want to put it by this one. Look at this.
They're Templetons, that's for sure.
They resemble each other just a little bit.
And here's Daddy when he's a little older. And there's Mother and maybe Sharon, one of the grand youngins. Now here's James and Buddy. And Buddy was a mascot for somebody. Here is Bobby Chambers. And then here is our young'uns. There is Phil and Jean and me and Mildred and Wilford and Rachel and J.D. and James and Mother and Hal and Helen. And here is me and Jean and Mildred. Now this is the little house in Boone. Behind the house, this is the house where we were living when Gary was born.
Okay. Rick showed me that first.
And I think this is the last picture we had made before Mother died.
Sharon's.
Oh, I see.
And that's all of us. Huh?
And this is Grandma and Grandpa?
Yeah, this is Mother and Daddy.
Yeah, that's Grandpa Templeton.
And that is James with Bess and Bonnie.
Bess and Bonnie?
That's our horses. Or is it Bert and Jack? Oh, that's Bess and Bonnie.
Now your dad has some of these.
Is that James or Hal? Is that James? And here is
But this is one of my favorites right here.
Rosser and Florence and Mother and Daddy, and Rosser Chambers is Daddy.
Florence?
That's Florence.
Can you get something like that?
Oh, I can go like up to here.
That's me and James.
This was Bobby and Billy up there.
This is Hal and James.
Chicken house up on the hill.
I know who every one of them are. I bet you don't even know them.
And I caught them this morning.
This is Hal and
Had
Florence
some good times.
and Lucille. That's my mother's sister. That's my aunt. There is Juanita Gentry. And there's Helen and James.
Baby James?
Yeah, that's Baby James.
And the members.
I don't know who that is.
Uncle Hal, do you know who that is?
No, that's James. I don't know who that is.
You know.
Who the big boy is. The little one's James. This is JD. That's our kind of adopted brother.
This. It might be hard.
Here's Rossi and Florence when they were married.
These are no children. These are not brothers and sisters.
Here's Bobby and me again. That's the same picture you got there. That's Bobby and Billy.
One big box of strawberry jelly.
I don't think I got that one. Who's that?
Grandpa and Grandma Templeton, I think.
Wow. And you don't know who they are?
No, Helen will have to tell you that.
Foster children that live in your home.
Oh, these are people that Mother kept in the house. No, I didn't know.
We used to keep young'uns by the dozens.
It's easy. And that is no power. Really good. Yeah, somebody pick up here and help Shannon with these pictures.
Yeah, my dad abandoned me.
Oh, Shannon, do you need help? This is that's Grandpa Templeton.
Yeah.
I see Jean.
Daddy Huey's brothers and sisters.
Can you name all of them?
Yeah. Let me see all.
Can you name my?
That's St. Collis, Chloe, Uncle Leonard.
Tony looks like.
I think that's Aunt Belle. This is Aunt Lucy. That's Daddy Huey.
Hey, Mildred.
That's Tishy. That's Uncle Alan. And that's Uncle Leonard. And that's Aunt Sarah. This is Maurice and Bobby Chambers.
Who's this?
I love this picture right here.
Down here, Bill, Bonnie and Dan.
That's Rossi Chambers, I think. No, that's Bill Murray. This is Bill Murray and Helen.
Oh, really?
Who is this man with James?
I don't know.
Helen was short back then, wasn't she? Who's this?
No, no, I ever know.
Yeah.
I think it's Grandpa Templeton. Grandma Templeton when he was young. James.
You know what I think is pretty interesting? Look at this. Between him and Hal.
Yeah,
They look just a little bit alike.
they do.
And some of your cold pies. Your biggest any My goodness.
And you know who all those are?
Nope.
You don't? I've had people helping me. Who's this?
That's Marilyn.
You have any idea who this is?
Yeah, that's your daddy.
And that's Tony.
That's Uncle Buddy's and Maureen's daddy.
Templeton.
Huey.
Susan.
Grandpa Huie.
She looked like Tony there.
And Mother Edie.
Yeah,
That was in the little house that Mother built up behind the brick house from Let's see.
Many years ago.
Somebody help. Okay, let's see. St. Chloe, Uncle Allen. I told you wrong. That's Huie Templeton, and that's Allen.
okay.
And that's Grandma Templeton and Grandpa Templeton. That's Aunt Lucy, Aunt Sarah, Aunt Tisha, Uncle Leonard, Aunt Chloe,
Callaway.
Callaway, and is that Belle?
Belle.
Aunt Belle.
So it's pretty much almost the same people in
Well,
this
you
one.
know, yeah, it's the same people. It's just a different.
Time.
Yeah, how about that? This I love this one.
Oh, look at this
Now
little
this is
picture.
the house that Daddy and Mother bought when they right after they got married. It was on about 100 acres of land.
Oh, so this isn't the Jennings?
This is on the Jennings Road.
Oh, it is the Jennings Road?
It's on the Jennings Road. And after they remodeled it, this is a more up-to-date picture. And this is also the same house as this one.
Now, is this Grandpa?
This is Daddy's brother. That's Leonard, all right? Yeah, Leonard, Uncle Callaway, Daddy,
Grandma Parker.
Aunt Tom, Aunt Belle, Aunt
And
Chloe,
Aunt Martha.
Lucy, Sarah, and Tisha.
He was killed in fire.
Yeah, they died when I was probably 4 years old.
You know what I think is interesting?
That's when she was first trained.
You guys look just a little bit alike.
This, I think, was that one side was Jeff's birthday. I remember that card up because I don't know, it may be one they
I've never seen that picture before.
I never had either. That's Granny. When she was in nurse's training. She's beautiful, wasn't she?
Now, I remember this big picture myself.
Did you see this one, Jeff?
Hi, Jeff.
That is adorable. Oh
You
my
all came
goodness.
down to Bill Gothard's seminar, and Jeffrey disappeared for a few minutes and he came back.
Picnic for Daddy and Aunt Tisha. They had their birthdays on the same day.
I bet he'd love to get rid of that.
I bet he would too. That is hilarious.
I have no idea.
Funny.
But it was before I was in, oh dear. What year was this, Mitty? Daddy's birthday and Aunt
Oh, goodness, I
Tisha.
was probably 10 or 11 years old. That's probably 40.
This is me holding Billy.
I think Helen said 43.
What year was Billy born?
This is a beautiful picture of the home place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
This is Gene holding Billy Murray, like I always have held him. I carried him everywhere. But this is Buddy.
That was at a family reunion.
And here's Ross Chambers.
Who is this? That's Eugene. Who else?
Mitty.
Me?
You were that much older than, taller than Jesse.
Maurice is between
Yeah, that's Bobby and me.
They didn't have a but she was
Oh, this is the grandchildren.
This is a foster.
That's a force. Who is this?
That's the dozen. That's JD and his first little baby.
Yeah.
I think her name's John.
that makes me think of Kim.
Yeah, this is.
These are all the foster kids that were in the home when Phil was born, right?
It does. It really does. My goodness, look at that.
That was like Kim.
I discovered that today that I thought that looked like Kim.
At one time, I think somebody said
These children
there were more than 21 children at one time, Helen. Mildred.
That's Lucille. That's Pauline. That's Vivian, and that's Vera. This is Jackie and Earl and Billy and Margaret are brothers and sisters. And this is Martha and Marjorie, and I've forgotten her little sister's name, but these three,
Do you ever see them now? You know where any of them are?
but they all lived at our
Which one of them dropped Phil on his head?
Is that what happened to Phil?
That's what happened.
Gertrude's not on there.
Gertrude's the one that did that, and she's not on there. Well, that explains a lot, ain't Phyllis?
That does, doesn't it?
Well, that's a good picture. Is that made on the cruise? Yeah, take Billy Murray, his expression. He looks like, who can I throw this egg at?
They had been up to the hen house and all copies.
Yep.
I thought that was the cutest thing.
Look at his expression in his mouth. Look at Billy's mouth.
That's pretty typical.
Yeah, we were gonna wait. We're gonna stay on. Start sharing and then, don't mean to rush you, Rachel, we'll get through. Oh, I love this.
My goodness.
Wait a minute, buddy, I went to wipe the grease off of it. They are Al, come stand right here.
Now, who's this? Do you know who this is, Aunt Jane?
That's Billy Murray.
Where is that?
That's in their house in Boone. It's torn down now. This looks like Stephen, maybe.
Oh, that's when I was a good salesman back then. Top salesman.
What year?
Oh, that was in the early 50s.
Who was this one?
That was in the early 50s.
Shannon, this is your drink, hon.
Okay.
Shannon, you want these?
Sure.
I always have them out, that's right.
How about some chocolate cake to go with it?
What then? That's Steve.
Yeah.
Steve and Pam.
Okay.
All right, now can we have the girls? Oh, my goodness.
Hang on, don't move.
Excuse me, wait a minute, I gotta be a house lady.
Let's all the brother-in-laws.
Now, here's the
Get the girls first.
Wait a minute, let Bill get with all of you.
I got it, I already got that.
With you?
No.
Okay.
Okay, you go,
Charles, go ahead, get in there.
Come on, all the guys.
All the guys.
All the guys.
Hey, tell Charles to come here. Get kind of overlaid.
He's out trying to steal, Charles is trying to steal tools out of the back of Daddy's car.
Get right here. Get behind them.
Here you go, what an idea.
Push. Just kind of turn it at an angle. Oh, that's good.
Okay,
We don't break these cameras.
okay, you wanna stop? You wanna, let me close.
Everybody look happy. Cholesterol.
Okay, wait just a second, let me close this window.
You just walk right in front of my camera.
Good.
I got your head
Let's get
back.
that light out of the way.
I'm gonna get close to
That's it, that's a motley crew.
Yeah, it is.
No, 398.
I think you're out of film, right?
Don't you wish you had some work? Mrs. C. Yes, especially.
Wait a minute, I get your head filled.
I gotta back up too. I can't get them all.
That's right.
Count them, is this 9?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
8, 9.
10.
Well, there's one extra now, who is it?
Now, when you're talking about the youngest, you make up that way instead of that way.
Now, who took the car apart and put it back together on somebody's roof?
Wagon.
It was a wagon?
And wait a minute, James. Wait until Bill gets his camera loaded.
Happened to James.
His camera loaded.
That's a wagon.
You know, we aren't taping any of this, are we?
lived in the house.
Good, Shannon.
Yeah, she.
All right.
Phyllis still trying to learn how to use it.
Phyllis, are you taking movies?
What happened?
Yes, Rachel, I have all your narration too.
Oh my goodness.
It would be okay on tripod.
So does Shannon.
Now say something.
Maurice trying to sell
Okay.
something.
Phyllis, you need a tripod, you're jumping up and down.
Now,
Okay.
there was some that had some stories they wanted to tell. The light's good in here, so why don't we just go ahead and do it? Who was there?
Where did it start?
I wanna hear about the wagon.
Relax.
I want to hear about Phil's panty raid.
We saw that on the tape, we were living in
I
Winston.
heard Grandma. That's how Grandma found out about it.
James said, that looks
We
like
had a
hell.
picture with the fellas.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to be a picture.
Amen.
Yeah.
So we need to have.
Well, we did that on purpose.
I know.
Phil, neither was me. Come on.
Oh, who's gonna take?
Who's gonna take that?
Everybody gonna make it?
Oh, somebody give me a camera.
Shannon, Beth, or husbands and wives?
Minnie, you call.
We're gonna get husbands and wives. Charles,
Coy, where'd you
Coy,
go? Should we put some chairs? Put some chairs.
Wait, we lost Hal.
Now, wait. Let's, when you're telling your kids and your grandkids who these people are, let's go by age. This one was eldest and.
Now, thank you, no ma'am. Kiss my foot, Phyllis.
I want to hear birthdays
I
too.
think it's a good idea.
Say when your birthday is too.
Girls, all sit down.
I'll cause no more trouble.
No, no, I think Phyllis has to be last.
Yeah, what is it? What?
I want to sit down.
Phyllis, you sit down.
Why are you going?
You got that on
I'm
chair?
And for the great-grandchildren, let's have the women move to different houses and see if the grandchildren can remember.
Yeah, let's just do one for the seating in front. If we don't like it, we don't use it. Okay. Where's
Okay.
My goodness.
Now, am I supposed to take a picture with all these cameras piled up here?
Yeah, I will.
All right.
She said then the girls all get up and move and then see if the kids can remember who belonged to who. I think that's a good idea.
If we don't even know.
James, Wilfred.
Mind your chair, folks.
Mildred's gotta be here. It's gotta be here.
One more chair.
Wait a minute, we're missing. Oh, there we go.
Where's Coy? Mildred here. Mildred here.
There we go. We're gonna
Take
take
pictures.
pictures.
All right. That didn't take 30 minutes.
I think you're supposed to be here. You're supposed to be here.
No.
Now, when do we start the record to take one chair away? I can sit down quick enough.
Move this chair.
Hey, Sharon, are you recording?
Yes, ma'am.
Oldest to youngest.
Okay, okay.
Littlest to biggest.
Oh!
Hey, Phyllis, I'll help
Okay, Beth, you ready?
Yeah, we decided we're going to start the music and take one chair away, and then.
you. Go get some more cameras. Yeah, let Beth get her.
Yeah, it'll be a while, I think.
Take a picture with everybody's camera.
Oh, boy. That's a good
Backed up.
Gee, if that takes some.
I hope so.
Okay, all was quiet.
Beth, my camera's not there, come out.
I like it when I don't know that anyway.
Well, that's a good idea.
Surely one of our will come out.
We have to do.
Bill, has anybody taken one on ours?
You might
Yeah.
back up, Beth.
Now, our next reunion, we'll look at all the pictures, okay?
We have some to add.
Well, if you take Walmart, you can get them back tonight, we have a reunion tonight.
No, we just get the cafeteria and supper.
I could probably run them out without paying for them, too, if I get it done at Walmart.
Right, for free. They'll just run out, we'll pay for it.
Yeah.
Bill, Could we have one of you use our camera?
Oh, sure.
Where is it?
Just a minute.
Well, that camera is turned on right there, the light's on, but it's not.
That's mine, if you do that, Rebecca, I appreciate it.
I mean, the video.
Is the video
And
on?
look who's writing this. It was honest.
Was it running? Was it running?
It's for
Aunt Rachel, did somebody get your camera? Did someone get your camera?
She's getting it, thank you.
Hey, we had a meeting in Sarasota, Florida, of the Greens Committee with the membership. They didn't like the way the golf course is looking. This guy was talking about a long-range plan. This one guy got up and says, "I'm not interested in long-range plans, and I ain't even buying green tomatoes."
Okay, here we go. That must have been the last one on that one.
But it maybe
Is that possible?
No, wait a little bit. Red light comes on thing.
Okay.
And that one, you gotta turn on the little dot in the very top in the middle, in the back, like that.
They turned on?
And just push in.
Your breakfast is ready.
Wake up call.
Up to the
Yeah.
We're rolling.
One more, one more camera.
And food, so we could live for the winter. So, I thought, you remember going and picking blackberries, Helen?
Up at Myers Bottom,
Yes.
in the wagon.
Excuse me, is our
Yes,
It's going
that's
right
right.
there.
Yes.
Well, Mother put up 100 jars, half gallons
Gallons.
of blackberries.
Every
She put up, every year, she put up 100 jars of jelly and jam, and everything was in hundreds. So, what we do when the blackberries came in, I'd hook up, when I came along, and I guess Hal did when he came along, we'd hook up the horses, put up a couple of bales of straw, and get washing tubs and buckets and pails and whatever, and it was about 4 or 5 miles, I guess, up to the Myers Bottom. And we'd get up there early in the morning, we'd take a picnic lunch, and pick berries till noon. And they were just hanging full because the bottom had little streams running all around through it, and the cows couldn't get to the berries high, so they were just hanging full of big old blackberries about like that. And we would make a whole day of it, and sometimes more than one day a week. Of course, they'd come back and process all of it.
Now, the processing was left up to the girls and Mother. And I
I
remember,
think about everybody picked too.
I remember the blackberries.
Down with people.
Yeah, the blackberries were as big as your thumb.
Yeah.
And the ones you see today are about as big as your little thumb fingernail. But they were absolutely
They
beautiful.
look like cultured blackberries.
Did you guys get chiggers?
Snake bit.
Never saw Dad pick a berry.
Mark,
Do you know one thing I never heard?
Chickens and
My
ticks.
fear was being bitten by a snake.
Yeah.
I never saw one, and as far as I know, nobody was ever bitten by one.
Well, we did get a bunch of hornets one time, and I had on these boots up to here, and we were at the top of the hill, and I was trying to run down to the foot of the hill, and I had to sit down, take off my boots, and get away from these bees. Now, that was when we were picking blackberries. But we used to come home, and Maurice would just be full of ticks and chiggers, and nobody else would have them.
I know why the chiggers ain't in.
They always go for the sweetest.
That's what I was gonna say. You tell them it's because you're so sweet.
Sweet Betty.
We used to scrub him for days, get him clean.
You want to tell about falling in the John?
Oh, I want to hear this.
You gotta get
We've got indoor plumbing, and I think
moving our house.
Mr. Tharp put in an indoor bathhouse. So he was going to tear down the old one. And Uncle Calloway came over to help do it, and they tore it down, and they'd put dirt over it. And I was running out through there, and I fell in there.
You look like you had on highway to boots.
And I made a beeline for the creek. I knew what to do to get rid of that. Man.
But Wilford, you don't tell about the time you set the field on fire.
Oh, yeah. It was down there next to Mr. Van Hoy. So I
Right.
set this broom straw field on fire.
How, what were you doing?
And
Why?
I think he was smoking.
Why?
Well, the way it, I remember it just like it's yesterday, he was making it, finding and making little rabbit houses.
Little rabbit house.
Out of the broom sedge. He done to round out a little place and pile straw over it, and then you had what looked like where a rabbit's nest would be, where they nested for the night. Wilford decided he'd burn one. Stuck it to it, and then just flamed right up right quick. It was dry and hot, and then the first thing you know, it's flamed over here, over here.
I looked up, there's a wall of fire. The only thing I could think that could stop this was God.
Yes, sir.
I said, that's
All the
the
rest
only
of
thing
them
that
was
stopped
fire Wilford down with me.
it. And I was praying hard.
Whoever said, I wish I was dead in the doormat. You know, it's a wonder he's here because of you and JD.
That's right, it is, 'cause y'all were mean to him, Jay.
They were, and they used to
were.
soak corn cobs.
James, tell what put him in the army, in the Navy.
Don't tell it all on him, there's the rest of them here.
You remember the time Maurice got his foot cut in the
Hey, baby.
How did that?
binder?
Right there, when it
The
happened.
Reaper.
I
Was
was
trying to clean it,
James was.
and I remember Hal picking him up in his arms and taking him, we had some kind of an old car, I forget what it was, and he took him to the doctor.
but the foot was just
And that foot was
cut
just
across the
hanging
top here,
there.
and that sucker was just flopping. I'm in the living room. It was scary.
Well, see, me and Dad was cutting wheat and the old binder had stopped.
That's right.
So they take a crank it like that and run everything out. And he come to bring us some water, a little half-gallon pail, and he went and climbed up on the curtain where the sickle was. He stepped up and got his foot in the sickle. And just, nails fell over like that.
What about that time he hit you in the head when you shot his dog, Jay?
I remember the dog, me and Gene was crying.
Oh.
James and JD was laughing and Wilford was crying.
Did he kill the
The thing I
dog?
remember most about JD and James and Wilford, they soaked corn cobs in water. And one day Wilford stuck his head around the corner of the barn, and about the time he did, James hit him right there. He had a red spot from there to there. Mama didn't let that one go by.
And a whole lot she
Did she spank you? Did she give you a whipping? Did she give you a whipping?
Honey, who was planting cornfields and said
I
they
got it
wanted
from
to
both
plant
ends.
Who caught your barn on fire?
Hell,
Come on.
that's hell.
Oh, it sounds like my time has come.
Here is our arsonist.
Yes, Mother was making, that day she had washed the clothes and had a big old black pot with fire all underneath it, and I'd put stuff under it and watched it burn. So she goes in the house to fix lunch. And I go in the house and take a gallon of a can of oil, kerosene, and I drag it to the barn. And Daddy had thrown down a new bale of hay that morning, and you know when you throw it down, it'll pop open. And I saturated that bale of hay with oil, and I lit it. And,
Do you remember this?
How old were you, Helen?
I was 4 years old. So I lit the fire, and I was not one bit frightened. I heard Mother scream. She looked out the back door and saw the smoke. And all I did was just picked up my can and drug it all back up to the house. And Dad was in the field and heard Mother hollering, and the neighbors heard her, and they all got the barn. Barn was new. I mean, that was something else, a big old barn like that. But I was not one bit excited about it. I had no fear, and that's why children at 4 years old, they don't have fear.
Well, you know, Mother said you did. Mother said you came in the house, did a flip over the bottom of the bed and stretched out.
Let's don't talk about that. Did the barn burn down?
Like something Billy
No,
Barnes.
no, the neighbors they put out.
Was that the same barn that the door fell on me?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Minnie's turn. Milton, tell them about
Do you
your
remember
birthday.
that?
She don't remember much about that.
Do you? I don't know how old you
Yeah,
was.
I-
What did you tell them?
I was there. Well,
You were about to.
the old barn door was, had a bad track on it. It didn't come off about,
If you open it too far.
if you opened it too far. Or if you shook it pushed it wrong, so I thought it was gonna. Well, anyway, I don't know what Laurel Mildred was doing back there.
She'd followed Daddy to the barn.
Huh?
She had followed Daddy, and he didn't know it.
Well, anyway, all I remember was the barn door going down and looking, and Mitty was under it. Now, luckily, she wasn't up where the barn door hit her full. It just squeezed her from the bottom. She was down near, a little down near, and it just squeezed her, but it passed her out.
If I had been at the height, out from it, I'd have been hit from the top.
I have wondered all this years what happened to you.
Well, I have a good excuse.
I want to know something else I've heard all my life, that somebody dropped Phil on his head when he was a baby.
Was it me?
Well, I don't know.
It was Gertrude.
Oh, Gertrude.
Who's Gertrude? Gertrude was one of the girls.
Well, tell us about that, Mildred.
I don't remember anything about it except that she dropped him.
Can you tell us anything about the results of those having been dropped?
I don't remember anything about it except that Gertrude dropped him.
Was it down the stairs or just on the floor?
I thought it was from the highest point.
Ooh!
You don't remember anybody.
Therein lies the problem.
Well, did y'all remember
There's
about the
your trouble.
bull? Did y'all remember about the bull that tried to kill one time?
Yeah.
Down in the barn? He was in a stall and they were gonna shoot him. And they had a little old pistol. Whoever was gonna kill him, he had a little old pistol. And it wasn't big enough to do the job. And he walked up to the hole in the stall and shot the bull right in front. He just dropped on his knees just like that, like he was out of it. And he didn't hit the ground until he came back up. And when he came back up, he took the whole side out of the stall. And Daddy was sitting outside with a shotgun, a shotgun, and let him have it face forward with two barrels. And that bull went all the way down to the big gully and fell in it and probably broke his neck. You remember that?
Yeah.
And I don't know what they ever did with the bull, whether they ever finished slaughtering him or not, but that's where the bull died, was down in the big gully.
Do any of you know about James and J.D. Poisoning a little calf?
No, that wasn't J.D.
Was trying to kill rats.
Oh, you knew about it too then?
Oh,
Yeah.
Paris-
He knew of it.
Paris Green.
Paris Green, yes, sir. Had a pretty little calf.
It wasn't J.D.?
No, it wasn't
I always
J.D.
heard it was J.D.
What about you and J.D. in the patrol?
Hey, wait, can I change my battery real quick?
Well, the
I
old
want to change my
truck
battery real
She's
quick.
gotta change her battery.
to be put in on Monday. Okay. So, J.D. and I were gonna carry the mail in the truck the last day of the old engine. Well, I said, I won't find out. That's not gonna stay out there. It'll come out. So here J.D. and I, we started to help him. And we got over at Hamptonville and got on 21. And we were just flat out floorboarding. And J.D. was sitting over there and he'd go, and I'd look and they'd laugh at each other, you know. Went on up the road still just wide open and then right wide stretch up there. And I said, I bet it drives as good on this side as it did on that or on the left. I'm going through there. You know,
Bring a
J.D., you're really getting good at this. Look at the rear view mirror there in the patrol.
The good turned out to be the real thing.
It was real thing.
Did you get a ticket?
Oh, did I get a ticket? He did, he was very nice. And I still had to pay the ticket. Carter, but he was very nice. I went up and told him the whole story about that we were just fooling around and was going to try to knock the engine out of that truck because it was a new engine for it in the morning. And because it wouldn't have been any harm there. But he didn't think he was not amused.
He didn't buy a story.
Huh?
He didn't buy a story.
Oh yeah, he did, but he didn't make any difference.
He didn't lock him up, at least.
Mother didn't talk him out of the ticket when you got caught for driving without a license either, did she?
Oh, that was good.
That was a cute one. Now, Mother really stood by me on that one. There's a man up at Windy Gap that had, I forget who it was, but anyway, he was sick, and Mother had made a big pot of stew and soup like she would for all the sick people around. You know about that. Put it in the pot and covered it up. And it was raining, and muddy and messy, and that Windy Gap Road had ruts in it that deep. So she let me drive. I was about 12, I guess. But I had enough nerve to just go on through the mud. I saw one coming. I didn't slow it down. I just get on it because I knew you had to have something to carry you through. And
You're still a little bit like that.
anyway, we got up into the bootlegging country and went around little curves. And I was cutting out pretty good because it was uphill and muddy, and I had to get through it. So I was, and we went to patrol, and he pulled the thing, pulled me over. And he came up, and I was already over as far as I could get, really, safely. And he said, pull this thing over. And I pulled it over, and went right in the ditch. Go, boom. Soft, right up in the mud. And he was a little disappointed he hadn't called a bootlegger.
Oh.
So he was writing me a ticket because I didn't have a license. And he wrote his ticket, still standing there in the rain, and started to fold up things. And Mother said, wait a minute, young man. He says, you're not leaving yet. And he says, how's that? She said to him, he says, you told him to pull this thing over here and it went in the ditch. He says, now you get him out. And he did. He got that patrol car up in front of that little, there was that little 33 Ford Coupe. And he got the chains out of the back of his car and looked at that and pulled me out, and I drove on home.
Such a bad boy.
I'll tell about how the patrolman caught you. You had something in the back you weren't supposed to have.
Hal had a heavy foot. A heavy load.
And it wasn't in the back seat either, was it?
Well, his first driving, he was not able to see over the steering wheel. And we were living in Troutman, and he took the car and went out with it, and the patrolman stopped him, and he said, son, how old are you? And you said, I'm 12 years old, how old are you?
Well, I tell you, that old is a T-model, wasn't it, you were driving?
Yeah.
Well, he just worried the rats out of me with that old T-model.
How old is it?
I was about 5 years old, and of course, that made you about 14, didn't it? And he was driving, and he would get that T-model going, of course, he'd run on nothing. And then he'd jump outside and run along the side. On those farm roads and just scare the dickens out of
You're starting to sit in there, wasn't you?
Jump out and run.
Jump out there and run off.
Sure, you remember.
Tell me a story about the younger generation, Eugene.
Oh, my, where do you
I
start?
hear about that crooked brother of yours.
Yeah, tell us, you and Buddy need to do some
What he
talking.
did
Not crooked.
grandma for Mother's Day.
Well, they're not crooked, he's just shrewd, like he still is.
I still want to hear the panty raid story.
Oh,
Uncle Maurice has to tell about that. We used to get nickels
Wait a
and
minute,
dimes.
he gets it going.
Okay. We used to get nickels and dimes and occasionally a quarter or two, isn't that on the farm? Usually picking cotton. And every time we get this, we'd run to Jennings' store. And I wanted to get Mother something really nice for Mother's Day, so I'd get a bar of candy, and I had this shoebox. And I collected it till they were, you know how chocolate will turn white when it's when it's old? Well, it was pretty old. Anyway, Mother's Day, I gave her this shoebox full of candy, and here comes Buddy. He's got a Whitman's sampler for Mother, and on the way back from the store every time, I'd save my candy and he'd eat his. And I couldn't figure out what he was going to do on Mother's Day. Well, he charged it.
How old was he?
true.
Oh, well, I was probably third grade. He's probably first grade, second grade, something like that. So I was really thinking, here's my puny little chocolate, white chocolate candy.
When Buddy was little, I remember, he said to Mother one day, he said, Mommy, when I grow up, I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to give you everything you want.
Yeah.
Well, he was mama's boy.
Oh, Mother, I heard Mother tell you one day, I was home and I heard her say, honey, having all the rest of them, it's worth having all the rest of them just to get you.
Hey, Dad.
Well, let me tell you about Wilford, something Wilford did. They had some ice cream, just enough left for one person. And Buddy was home, and Wilford was in school, and they looked up around noontime, there was just enough ice cream for one serving, and they saw Wilford coming. And Buddy was really upset because he was planning on that ice cream for lunch. And so when they saw Wilford coming, Mother said, Buddy, do not tell him that we have some ice cream. And so the minute Wilford walked in the house, Buddy was going like this. He was so excited, and Wilford says, what's the matter, Buddy? He says, we don't have some ice cream. We don't have some ice cream. So he got in the refrigerator and ate the ice cream. And when he left, Phil was in tears. And Mother says, well, I told you not to tell him. He says, I didn't tell him. I just told him we didn't have any.
When Jean and I came along, we had to look out for each other.
Yeah.
She kept me out of fights most of her before with, if some of the bullies were about to beat up on me, she'd take up on me.
I remember getting in a fight with Owen Greer in front of the
Dugan.
in front of the cafeteria, and James came along and he was horrified.
You got in a fight with him?
Well, we were in a fight. Buddy was in trouble, and I got in a fight with him.
Good
And
for
James
you.
came along, and he was so embarrassed. He was a student.
He said all that beat him up.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Was he in college then?
Yeah.
Dugan Greer was the brother of my best friend.
Oh,
And he was a mean guy, you know, just a no good friend. And he would bully the two of us and didn't want to be his own brother. He was a bad egg.
What happened to him?
Papa did.
Pouring out towards Miss Van Hoy's house. And Wilford and I'd go out and plan a road, we'd come back. We went down and planned a road, and then we decided to go to Red Bank. You remember Red Bank?
Oh, yes.
Swimming. Well, explain to people what Red Bank is.
Red Bank is a creek down there where everybody went
Swimming
swimming.
hole. Yeah.
Down towards
Had a deep hole there, about 15 feet.
Turner Jennings.
Is this where you used to cook crawdads?
No.
Catch crawdads?
But at any rate, we went down there and we went swimming and
Well, no,
we
but
came
tell him what
back.
he said first, honey.
We was coming back up the road, Wilford said, I made up my mind. Mama ain't gonna whip me no more. He's about 12, I guess. She found out what we'd done and she just beat the grass.
I remember Bill, Wilford saying that you come in and the two of you done something, and she just tore off a thing off of a barrel there and took that and
No.
started, when the
That was off the big hedge in the back.
the hedge.
And she used to cut off one of these limbs.
Oh, okay.
And that was one massive switch. She'd strip it. She'd strip all the leaves off of it.
I hated that hedge.
We used to have to get, as part of that, though, we have to get our own switches. I mean, send you to get your own switch.
And
Boy, I got the stupidest thing I could
If you
find.
didn't bring back a good one, she'd go get it. That's what gave you the idea when you had the kids going to school.
And I remember Grandma Parker, and was all sitting around like this, peeling peaches or whatever Grandma was getting to can or something, because we all had to sit around in a circle and do it. And she, as Mildred says, she'd check on and see if it was thin enough, and we wasn't cutting it too thick. And Grandma Parker was sitting there, and she could make the best apple pie something I've ever ate in my life. And all at once, she just threw, all of us had these little pie pins.
There's a rooster crowed first.
Yeah, a rooster crowed in front of the door of the boys' house. And I'd never seen this done before. And she threw down that can on the floor and she says, you know, it says I'm having company. I've got to go fix dinner. She went and she killed chicken, she fried the chicken, made gravy, made the whole Sunday dinner. And so helped me, the pastor and his wife came. And I thought that was amazing. I thought that was just a miracle.
A rooster crow.
The rooster crowed. And she said, I'm having company.
She said, what,
She might, you know.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, she made that date and she'd set that rooster to go off.
But to me, it was a miracle, I tell you what, I couldn't get over it.
Hey, James, tell them about committing suicide.
Huh?
Tell them about committing suicide. Your foot was yours.
Well, neither was your foot getting cut off.
No, neither door fall on the boot, it's funny.
I still know where that hill is between
Shoot
Bernie
yourself.
and Union Grove where Bobby fell out of the car.
Oh,
The back door opened.
Started, fell on the floor.
Bobby was about a year and a half old, and somehow or another he got that door open, the air caught it, and just flung him out across the street. Mother stopped, and we got out of the car, and Bobby was running up the road.
I remember that.
I remember one time Mother was going to town.
Awful wreck.
Same place where Ross had his wreck.
And cut
Carl Jr.
Carl Jr. up bad.
I remember
About
one
a year
time,
after.
Mom was going to town, she had a little Plymouth, it looked like a coupe or something, anyway. I wanted to go, she wouldn't let me. So I went and hid in the back, in the trunk or the back seat or something.
Well, wait a minute, I remember that better than that. In the top, back behind, it was a little coupe. And right up over the back of the seat, behind the seat, there was a hole in the what do you call that part that's behind the seat, over your shoulders? Yeah, well, there was a hole in that what should have been fiber of some kind. So you hid back in, under the trunk, and when Mother got all the way to Statesville, you stuck your head out through that hole and said, "Hi, Mommy."
And somebody was supposed to be babysitting.
Didn't you remember selling chickens on the street corner in Statesville?
No,
You don't remember that?
I do, I remember selling
I
corn,
remember Mother
Molasses?
selling
molasses.
squash and
Apples.
potatoes and stuff like
I
that.
remember carrying a chicken down the street trying to sell it for a quarter.
Was it dead?
Yeah, they both dressed them.
What did you do?
I
I want to
remember
tell about
selling
Maurice's, speech impediment. I didn't know. Maurice, it took him a while to get things said. And, so she had two little boys there, we called them Brother and what they.
Brother and Tim.
Brother and Tim. They were out in the yard playing, and Maurice came in and says to Mother, "Mama, Buddy got choked. Brother got choked." And Mother was digesting that, and finally Maurice says, "And he's still choked."
Another one out there and he's blue.
Mother, got out there and beat the child in the back and got the candy out of his throat. So one day, they were driving, and Mother was driving, and Maurice was in the front. She says, "Is it okay to go across the street, whatever?" And Maurice says, "Yes, I think you can make it." But the time he got out, the car was almost stopped.
Well, what happened to me one time with Maurice, I was driving, and Maurice and I were coming up to a stop sign. It was not a light, it was just a stop sign. And I said, "Maurice, is there a car coming?" And he said, "Yes." And I slammed my brakes on. He says, "But you can beat it." And I looked up, and it was about 2 blocks away.
He can see hard.
Who was the real lawnmower and the finger, and was that Helen? James.
That's James.
James was always getting in trouble.
It's gone, man.
No, we had no push mower. When you turn them upside down, you freewheeling, you know.
Yeah.
But James, he decided he was gonna push it. So he went up there and pushed it and kept one of his fingers off.
It could slap off, and Mother went to the, I remember this just like it was yesterday. She went to the stovewood box and shaved out some little pine splints, dipped that thing in kerosene, put a little white rag around it, then put those splints on them, and wrapped that thing up, and then she wrapped my whole hand up, and it stayed there for 5 or 6 days.
We should have told the doctors about that.
When she took that off, the finger was blue. And the nail was black. But that finger had as good a feeling in it as anything, and it was cut right, slap through the knuckle. And I still had good movement with it. It was on like that one, just a little bit crooked. I almost fussed it, but I was getting it.
Crooked split.
She'd be sued for practicing medicine without a license today.
That's right.
What was the story about in what house was it, where a doctor was coming to perform surgery on a woman?
Oh, this was at the county home.
Yeah. Well, now, before you tell it that our father was superintendent of
Yeah.
Ireland County Home for 2 years.
The
And
mother was the matron for the,
mother was the
That's where I
hostess.
learned the cuss.
huh?
That's where you learned.
Yes.
There
Kind of
was-
town that the president was right beside the county home, and I'd rush home from school, and I'd go over and I'd sit at that fence and listen to them.
What's the doctor's name?
McAwee.
McElwee.
McAwee.
Dr. McElwee.
McElwee.
Huh?
Dr. McElwee.
I think it was Dr. Davis from Davis Hospital. But she worked for him.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And there's North Carolina, there's a book, Jim Davis, North Carolina surgeon in there, when they book on him. Well, anyway, this Mrs. Carr had the awfulest Florida that you've ever seen on a human being, did you?
Yeah.
It was just out here, 'cause
That's county home.
couldn't hardly move, and of course she was indigent, nobody to pay her doctors or anything. Mother went up and talked to Dr. Davis about it. And of course, things were scheduled pretty heavily in his hospital. And of course, I think she'd maybe worked in their home. When she was a nurse. When she was in nursing school, I
In the
think she.
hospital.
Yeah, but anyway, he said, well, Miss Templeton said, I don't know how we can get her up here, you know, legally and all that. But he says, if you prepare a place in the dining room at county home, so I'll come down there and perform the surgery there. So, you've never seen such doing around in your life. I don't remember this, I was only 5, but I can remember all the preparations for it. And they set it up, and they used a mattress, some kind of a mattress wrapped in sterile linens and all that for the operating table. And they got everything ready. And Mother said all of a sudden, Dr. Davis was gone. She couldn't find him. So she looked around to see if there's anything else she needed. And she thought of some extra towels or something that she might need, so she went to this little linen closet over there. She opened the door, and Dr. Davis was down on his knees.
Pray. Oh, my goodness.
And mercy. She said she just closed the door and stood outside the door. That operation went off without a hitch. And that door would have filled with wash.
Oh, my goodness.
It was terrible, I remember. See, I was 12 or 13 years old. And you've never seen anything that big. Did you? And that woman was heavy. Remember how heavy she was? But
Oh,
did
see
you
how
know
she
that
could
she
breathe.
totally recovered and went back to New York, wherever she'd come from to start with?
Well, speaking of the county home, I was about in 2nd grade, I guess, and there was a woman there who was blind. Do you remember her? And she had a corner room, and she had books just lining the shelves in her room.
That was Mindy Ball.
And I used to go there. I used to go to her room when I got home from school, and she would take down her Braille books and read to me. And I would get my little books out and read to her, and she acted like she thought that I was just the most wonderful reader in all this world. But I never will forget what she did to encourage us.
McClellan, Hubba Cake, you call it.
Hub McClellan was his name.
Well, you remember Essie?
Huh?
Essie was a cook.
I don't remember Essie.
Essie was a cook, but mother got, I wouldn't eat, and I was skinny as a rail. Unfortunately, it didn't last. But the doctor gave mother a large bottle about this high and shaped like this of iron for me. And so mother took it in the kitchen and showed Essie how to give it to me. She had to measure it out and put it in a little glass with some water. And so mother stood there until Essie gave me the first dose. And it was just absolutely awful. And I thought, if there's any way that I can get out of taking this stuff, I am not going to do it. So after that, when Essie would, she tried to help me, I said, Essie, I can do it myself. She was real busy. I said, if you'll just measure it out, I'll take it. So she would measure it out in the cup, a little glass, and put water in it, turn her back, and I'd pour it down the sink and drink water. And I started eating like mad.
You're right, you overcorrected, didn't you?
It worked.
Weren't you born at the county home?
Huh?
Weren't you
I was
born?
born at the county home.
How many of y'all ever remember mother, seeing mother at the altar praying on her knees?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Now, that was one of the memories that I'll never forget. We'd go to these revivals or tent meetings or something like that. And of course, being young, I was interested in getting out of there. And the preacher would preach for 2 hours, and I'd say, God, when's this ever going to end? And then they'd have the benediction. And then I'd say, we're ready to go. And then he said, before we go, does anybody have a word of testimony?
That's all, brother.
Okay. So here we go. Mother would, I never knew a time when mother did not give a testimony when she had the opportunity. Never passed up that opportunity.
You remember Andy Bustle?
Oh, well, pretty yeah.
Wait a minute, let me tell you something. Mother, there was somebody in the neighborhood had a jaundiced child, about 3 or 4 years old. This child was at the point of death. And I don't remember if they got her to go to the child or brought the child to her. But she prayed for this child during the week. And on Sunday, we're going up the road in the wagon. And this woman and that baby's child's walking along the road. He was healed.
How about you?
Yep.
Well, so now that we're getting on that subject, when Jean was little, I don't know, were you 3 years old, Jean?
I was in first grade.
Well, 6 years, seemed like it had Jean, but anyway. Jean had meningitis, and at that time, there was a new drug on the market, sulfa. She was at the hospital in Statesville, and they said she had meningitis, and it was not the contagious type, but they'd done all they could do, and they brought her home. But anyway, I made her funeral dress, her little burial dress, and everything. See, I wasn't at home then, and I was in Winston-Salem. And Mother said a lady came to the door with her Bible, and when Jean was so low, and wanted to talk, you know, and Mother excused herself and said, I have a very sick child, and I don't have time to talk. And the lady said, well, could I come in and pray for her? And Mother said, yes, I would love for you to do that. And she came in and prayed over Jean, and Mother said she felt the Holy Spirit, didn't know the woman, and still don't know who the woman was, and she left. Well, Jean got better.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think that was an angel. I do. I really do.
But now that we're on this subject, I'd like to have my say. When we left Virginia, Washington, or wherever you call it, and came here, we had no intention or never ever dreamed of coming back to Union Grove. And I'm saying this to bring to light to you how God works through us, whether we know it or not. So we were going to store our furniture here at this little house while we made a decision on what we were going to do as far as retiring, because Bill was coming up on retiring age. And so it's a long story, but the house got reconstructed and Mother came, and we had some happy years with her. thanks to all the family that contributed to her needs and whatever we needed. So as the end drew near, she took the plat for this land and she drew it into lots. And she drew a road through it and shaped everything like a cul-de-sac. And she said to me, she said, well, I want Hal to have the front lot and you to have the house. Because she said, you are the two children that didn't have an opportunity for education. So we just listened to Mother because she was getting a big pleasure out of her dreams of what we would all do. And so I talked to Hal about it, and Hal said, well, she shouldn't do that. She was going to have it lotted off, you know. She had a survey made and everything, and put it in our names. And Hal said to me, well, I don't think there's any use for her doing all that. Of course, she says, we might as well let her go ahead and do it, because if you don't, she may give it to a church. Now think that all out.
Yeah. And think what happens.
And think what the result is. Now the church owns all the property.
That is amazing.
And God was behind it all the time.
I got that, what she drew.
I still have that.
Yeah.
I still got that. She
The
said,
plat?
yeah.
Mother was a good developer.
Yes, she did.
Yes, everybody.
Well, I hope you understand that's where you got your gift.
She
Wonder
would have
where
got
you
the
got
job
it.
done, buddy.
Well, someone share some memories about Florence.
But this church is sitting here, and a lot of people think it's unnecessary. But let me tell you, there's a group of people that comes here to worship. There's a group of people in this country, even there's 3 or 4 families come out of Statesville to church here, that are being served and taught and guided, that all the other churches may pay no attention to.
Amen.
And they,
And who knows what the future holds for us.
that's right. And right now, I don't know what they burned Sunday, but they must have burned the deed. Read the last papers on the house, it's all paid for. The last report I got, they owed $5,000. And they rent the house, and sometime we may use it for pastor's house.
I didn't know that they owned the house.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
So Mother, the whole thing went to the church like Mother would have had it, as Hal said.
Well, how's the profit?
Profit Hal.
Mother won.
So, okay, y'all share some memories of Florence. Since
Well, let me tell you about Florence. Florence was next to me in years, and we had more fun than any girls we had.
Florence like fun. And
She
how?
darned my shirts. Everything was just ready to go in time out. Now, we throw watermelon around on the church. But we had fun.
Hal, tell us about something you said y'all used to do. You used to go, you dress up like people, so someone
Oh, Christmas booger.
Christmas boogers.
Yeah.
Christmas in there.
This many people, and you dress up,
It's like Halloweeners.
disguise yourself, and you go around and visit houses. The people supposed to guess who you were. They didn't try to expose you and take your garb off or nothing, but they just try to guess who that is.
They give you treats?
Pardon me?
Did they give you treats?
Sometimes
Yeah,
they were.
most times they'd have, along the time they'd have either popcorn or something to the fire.
Well, you know, Florence had a sixth sense. When anybody would come to our house at Christmas time dressed up as Christmas booger,
She knew who they were.
she could tell by the odor of their clothes, because she knew. I don't know whether we realize it or not, but our bodies, you know, and our houses all have certain characteristics, and she could identify almost anybody. But the thing about Hal was, I never will forget, we would sit at the table in the dining room there at Union Grove, and Hal would get Florence and me tickled. And of course, we just giggled all the time, and Daddy would make us go outside and sit outside the door until we could quit laughing. And just to aggravate him, we'd sit out there and giggle.
Well, I guess when I went to Iowa, I was 17 or 18. out there about 2 days, and here comes Florence.
How did she get there?
Mother sent her out there
On the train?
on a bus.
On the bus. All the way to Iowa.
And she stayed out most of the summer. And
And Glencoe fell in love with her.
a friend where I was working fell in love with Florence, so, well, she came back home before he did, because he wanted to come to North Carolina to see Florence. And he had bought him a new car, 32 Ford or something. So we drove North Carolina, then he would go around Florence and carry this musical instrument for him. Never been to church a day in his life, I guess.
Accordion.
Accordion, yeah. Anyway, he had to go back. And I had promised him I'd go back with him, but I decided I won't to. So I sent Florence back with him. Do that?
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
man.
No, I can't start that way. On the bus?
Sure did.
He drove it.
In a car.
She had to come back.
What did Rossi think of that?
He wasn't in the picture.
He was,
Well, he was
I don't
kind
know.
of in the picture, wasn't he?
yeah, he was in the picture because he had that McCarthy doll. He had given Florence that McCarthy doll, and she took it with her to Iowa.
Oh, my goodness.
The twins who was at the camera.
He wasn't.
Did Grandma not like Rossi or something, or was she trying to?
No, no.
I had lied to Rossi, and that's her way of getting me out of it.
Oh,
See, I promised him I'd go back, huh?
You like the Glencoe.
I mean Glencoe.
Glencoe.
I said,
I say, why did she send, did Grandma like Glencoe and didn't like Rossi or something?
that's before Rossi's time.
Oh, well, you gotta tell it all about what, was it Jean or Mildred told what Daddy said?
Oh, when we got here, Jean was about this high. And Glencoe stayed around 2 days, him and Florence kind of rubbed against one another a little. And Jean went up to Glencoe and says, you know what, because my dad don't like you.
Or when are you going home
Yeah.
now? She said, when are you going home?
Yeah.
When are you going home? My daddy don't like you.
You didn't do that.
Southern hospitality, right? Well, Glencoe died about 2 or 3 months ago.
Gene? Michelle?
Bill, I remember when that accordion Florence had came from Sears Road.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. She brought it in, and they took it out of the package, and there's some instructions in it. And she sat down and read those instructions, and I'd say in about 30 minutes, she was playing that thing like an angel. Unbelievable. And I used to go around with Mother and her to churches, you know. I remember the little Quaker church then.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Miss Cox, Preacher Cox, a little lady, a little old lady.
Well, there's one over on between 421, old 421 and new 421, the little Quaker church in there somewhere where she used to come a lot.
No, this
Over
one's,
Jetkin County.
this one's just right down here at the bridge.
Well, who is Debbie? Debbie Jen, is it Debbie?
Debbie.
Bill calls me Debbie.
Let me tell you how long Florence's memory, how long people remember Florence. I moved to Greensboro in about 1980.
She had died in 43.
She died in 43. I moved to Greensboro in 80. And I was down there not long and went to a barber shop. This boy was cutting my hair and he asked me my name and I told him Templeton and he said, you know from Union Grove, are you? And I said, yeah, we're from Union Grove. He said, you know, I remember a girl from Union Grove used to play accordion. His name was Watson. And he lived somewhere between here and Elton. And that was from 43 to 80. How many years is that? 37 years.
You know, Rachel and Florence take music, and it's bang, bong, bang, 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 bong, day and night. Well, for some reason or other, Florence got started on the blues. I mean, she could play it, you know. Just as soon as Mother drove up to the yard, it was amazing.
Well, most of us in the family.
Well, do you all remember the old wheelchair that used to roll cotton on? Well, what I remember about that thing was that Hal had put Rachel and Florence into
but just say the springs.
Yes.
I don't know how they got it, but there's something about it, there's a sprung up old, a wicker kind of,
Yeah.
chairs I remember are wooden, and that we roll cotton on it. And there's something about that in the springs, and how would you say springs and
It's terrible. Well, I think it started when we jumping up and down the bed.
Oh, really?
Springs.
Oh, okay,
Then we started jumping up and down that old chair.
okay.
Well, we got so much trouble with jumping on the bed. For some reason, I was jumping on that chair made it funny too.
How could this say springs and?
Now, I don't know. I don't know whether about the wheelchair, but you know, I didn't walk from the time I was about 2 till I was almost 4. I had they call it infantile paralysis then. And I can remember, I had a thing they rolled me in, but I think it was didn't do like this. And I can remember Aunt Martha and Vance, mother's brother Vance, they took turns staying at our house, tucking me around.
Any of y'all ever remember Mother and Aunt Martha getting tickled?
Yes.
Now, boy, if they got
dear.
together,
Yeah, they did
and
like
got
that.
tickled, they were a case.
Yeah,
Aunt Martha laughed about everything anyway.
yeah, she did.
She was
And
happy.
she's just really a happy person. And she and Mother would get together, and something would come up and they'd get tickled, and you'd just...
They'd cry.
Honey, tell about Rachel teaching you English.
One thing I remember when I was young, Rachel was awful careful about our diction. And I wasn't pronouncing finger right. And I said to myself, and she made me sit on the front step and say finger, finger, finger for about...
Do like this, you do like finger,
Yeah,
finger,
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 finger, finger, finger. What was saying?
Aren't you glad I did that?
Yes, well, I remember when Rachel was coming home from the college, man, we had to clean the house, and I had to go to the creek and get spring water to wash her hair in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh,
sir,
yeah.
we loved that spring water, you remember that?
I don't know.
Or we had to catch rainwater. Rainwater or spring.
Oh, you remember those muscadines down there?
We're gonna go check on that
That
vine
old
today.
spring? That's
Oh, boy.
We're
unbelievable.
gonna go check on that vine today.
Things were big as a quarter.
Yes, sir.
Unbelievable.
Prettiest muscadines in the
Do
country.
you remember swinging on those vines?
Bronze.
Yeah,
Did you?
man.
You know how to. Do y'all remember Ross Chambers, racing that horse? Yeah. Right there in front of the house. It's that old gravel road. Yeah. And who was on our horse?
Carl, Junior was there.
We had a little horse pony or something, and Carl,
It was a nice.
they brought their fastest pony to race. There, right in front of the house. And, they were tearing down the road, and all of a sudden, Ross's horse stopped dead, and he kept going. And he got all scratched and bloody, and that gravel, and Mother got the alcohol out. And Big coming out. Lord.
Old Ross drove that hack all the way from Statesville to Union Grove. Remember that? And he used to come up there in that hack to see flies.
Yeah. Remember Ross's laugh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got a big kick out of Christmas program and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that happening, and I've never talked to anybody outside of this community that's ever heard of such a thing.
It had to be.
A tradition handed down from somewhere.
What they call Christmas boogering?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we call it, right?
Yeah. But have you ever heard of anybody outside this community that did?
I've never talked to anybody.
You remember going to the Darren Templeton store with Ross?
Yeah.
That store's still over there, James. You showed it to
It's still there.
Darren Templeton store, still there.
Yeah.
He'd take us over on Saturday to get us, RC coal and sardines.
For how much?
I don't know, he bought it.
Well, let me ask you a question. James, this community, I have never heard of anybody here having slaves. And when we were kids, they never raised tobacco in this community.
No.
Now I wonder why. Does anybody know why?
Have you ever seen the PBS special on the English language?
No.
It takes different parts of the United States and shows why we talk like we do, depending on where we came from. And this area through here, it tells where we were from, you know, the Scotch Irish and all that. And you brought your culture with you. And I think there was, Daddy never would grow tobacco. Now, he smoked a cigar, but he would not grow tobacco.
Well, nobody here.
Nobody in this area.
Well, you wasn't looking on two favors if you smoked in this community, but alone going tobacco.
Even the men, you think? Even for a man?
But did you ever hear of any slaves around here?
No.
You know, like in other areas, well, yeah, oh, there's a slave, ex-slave, grandmother, and all that. But I never heard of it here.
You didn't have slaves, from what they call the fall line, where the lakes, the rivers began to fall so that you couldn't come up with a boat.
Yeah.
And the land was level. I taught North Carolina history, and you really understood. You could get a North Carolina history book because the cotton and this where you need slaves, where I thought they needed them, was down in the eastern part of the state. And so when you hit Winston-Salem and all back up in here, it became more highly industrialized, and they were populated by people that came down through the Appalachian Valley. They came from Pennsylvania and up in that area. They didn't come in off they didn't come in off the coast like the English did. And so you didn't have slaves here. And during the Civil War, they would not allow North Carolina troops to be led by a general from North Carolina because they thought that they might not be faithful to the Confederacy because there's so many people in the western part of the state who were against the Civil War.
When Longstreet from
I don't know, but what Rachel was saying is correct. And the politics of this area now is closely related to that same thing because there were non-slave holders all through the mountains from, look at Allegheny, Ash, Watauga, Stokes, Surrey, a good part of Yadkin, all Republican. Because during the Civil War, these people were in sympathy with the northern cause, non-slavery, the freedom slaves. So that's the holdover.
I often wonder about it.
Oh yes, it's very, and it goes in where you had small landholders and not huge flat plantations. You didn't have need for slaves that you had.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
How many of you saw the book that this guy put out on the Templetons?
John Templeton's book,
One of you's got it.
When's the next printing of it?
I don't know. Next time I go to Nassau, I'll go over and ask him. His office is in Nassau.
Listen, we need to send in some updated stuff.
Well, we told Bill, don't everybody else, I'm gonna tell you what on Bill Murray. He said the word.
Listen up here, Bill.
Sitting over here getting by on all this stuff. Me and Bill and Helen decided we'd go get a haircut. I don't know if Bill was getting a haircut or I was getting a haircut or Helen was getting a haircut. We went to the barber shop.
Where'd you live?
In Washington. And we're sitting there and there's a guy in the chair getting his haircut. He was talking bad, real bad. Bill got up and my friend told him, said, man, you shut that up. I got my wife. I don't hear that stuff. He went back and sat down, reckon he started again. Next thing I heard something go. Bill walked up there and knocked him out of the chair and drug him back in the closet when he left.
Oh, we got to tell another one about,
They get my throat cut.
yeah. Can you tell another?
His back and his throat.
Well, we lived in Washington, we lived on the third floor, townhouse called them. And you could look out the window and you could see a delicatessen and other townhouses with this delicatessen on the corner. Well, we were getting ready to go to a movie, I think. Well, I was upstairs and Hal came out. He was down on the street somewhere at the delicatessen, and a child came out the door, and some drunk knocked him down.
Two of them.
Knocked this kid down and took
Knocked
his
the bicycle over.
He knocked his bicycle over. And so then Hal took it up.
Oh, you ahead
Wait
again.
a minute, let Bill tell you. Maybe I put the carrot.
Go ahead, Bill.
I had one down in the street. I looked back, saw that was coming, so I knew he'd take care of it. I had one down in the street.
I'm upstairs looking down, seeing all of it. And so suddenly I go down to see what's going on. Well, here comes a taxi and Hal gets in it and leaves. Ambulance. Hal gets in it and leaves, and we pick a taxi and follow the ambulance. And we go to the emergency room of some hospital, and Hal had got his throat cut.
And his back.
And his back. How many stitches did you have?
We finally
Hal took the man, grabbed the man that was fixing to cut Bill.
Oh, my. Honey, I was in the fight.
I saw it. Well, Hal got the man that was off after you.
He sure did.
That's what I told him.
But I had him down in the street
He
working
was
over
at
me.
the,
University of Oklahoma.
Did you get
Out
all
of
this?
it.
Yes. Okay.
Like he won. Down between two cars.
How many of y'all have one of
I
these?
had a knife.
I don't. Where'd you
Who
get
does not have one?
But
We don't.
I say
Well, I've
this,
got 3 at my house, and I think it belongs to you.
my first memories
I don't think you don't.
of the road was the year REA had come through and left.
And you held it.
well, Helen had it.
In that.
And she had.
You water pump?
Yeah.
Water pump for the well.
So I'm out at the pump looking it over, and Wilfred, I'm gonna get back to him. Somebody slipped up behind, had a little overall on his back. Come out like it was a secret, have no bar going out. Said, anything you got, you're gonna swap.
I used to love Bill Murray because he brought me baseball.
That's the first time I ever remember seeing him just throwing a baseball.
But he had a gun-shy bird dog. John Cass was the bootlegger. So Wilford swapped that gun-shy bird dog with a rifle as wood shoot. He was a great farmer. And I come up, and I'm going to go. James probably won't look. So I told Wilford, I said, now Wilford, if we jump a rabbit, kick him out of the bed, don't shoot. We went up the creek. I heard something beside us. Boom. That rabbit, there wasn't enough pieces of it to make it.
I didn't want him to get away.
Hey, Bill. While we're talking about Wilfred, he was little, as Bill said, about the same age, and he was with his little overalls on, and he was walking through the backyard, and there was a cow mess. He stuck his hands in his pockets and he said, I feel as big as any cat You got the picture.
Yeah, I got
Well, we don't have this picture, did that get that to you?
No, we do.
She gave me one.
John, you got it.
Sure. It's all about his for the house. I trust him.
Now, we don't have
Still
one.
red, I remember you
Yeah,
telling
I've got practice.
Eased up on.
Now, does everybody got their picture now?
No, we don't have a picture.
I'm getting.
Well, Helen's getting yours now.
The pictures are. Well, folks, it's 3:30, it's gonna be cool enough to go outside.
Let me tell y'all what we've done. See this picture right here, Mama holding this baby? We're having this done in oil, and then we're gonna have some copies made, prints. But the main was gonna hang in the Rainbow Center up in Norfolk.
The backside shows the big picture.
Yeah, it's this picture right here.
Took all of that.
We're having it done in oil.
Hold that up in front of this outfit.
Before we leave here today, I'd like to see if we can find Myers' mill. I went down that road the other day and I couldn't find it.
Well, the mill is not there.
Mill is gone.
But the road is still there, Danny's house is still there.
Can we find the place where it used to be?
Yeah. I can tell you where Mother used to go down there and turn around.
Oh,
She pulled near that bridge and back.
I was scared to death for that old house. You remember that driveway was, you
Yes.
look way down and see that creek?
Yes.
They just scared me. It's still there?
Yes.
The little house is still there.
It's painted green or gray or
I
black.
used to go up there and spend the night with grandma, sleep on a big feather bed. And get up to black-eyed graves, or was it the red-eyed graves? Country man. Great big business, Lord have mercy.
The two places I remember Grandma living was out there at Mars's Mill and up here towards Arbor. You remember that?
Yeah, Addie's store.
Hattie's store.
Addie Walker.
And she had the newspaper on the wall.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Let me tell you, the ones who don't know, about 10 years ago, I was up in Boone, had an old barn, looking at a piece of real estate, there was a bunch of books there. And there was a legend book about that thick. And
See, this guy.
the legend book was a story, it was a diary by a man who used to ride through about 6 counties selling hardware stuff. And he would keep a daily diary of what he rode horseback in the rain, the snow, and everything else, and kept a meticulous record of what he did.
Somebody wrote to me.
And as I was reading down through it, it said, went to Union Grove and spent the night with J.W. Templeton, which was Walter. Remember what Walter had?
Yeah.
Said he called on, that was one of his customers.
Yeah.
And he goes on and tells, he's a very intelligent guy, and he's, I guess, educated by those standards. But Stephen's got the book right now, reading it, and Gene's going to read it next. And it tells about a lot of different things that happen, and it tells about his wife gets tuberculosis, and as she gets sicker and sicker, and she goes to Black Mountain and all this stuff, and then she finally dies. And Phyllis, what phrasing did he use for that? When his wife died, he said what?
When she went away.
The sunshine of my life.
The sunshine of my life is gone, or something like that. I can't remember exactly, it's been a long time since I read it, but I was sitting in bed one night reading, and he had not read it, he just had found it. And I was so intrigued because it tells about elections, it tells who was running, it tells about pictures in the windows in Wilkesboro of that no good so-and-so. And it tells how much he paid for sugar, how much he paid for his first touring car, his Ford touring car. And the night his wife had tuberculosis, and he took her back to White Mountain, and they worried with this about 4 years. And he said it was 6 days and three hours since she first got sick. He's got everything in detail. Beautiful penmanship, but when she gets sick, his penmanship changes terribly. And the night before she dies, the little boy, Thomas Lee, their only child, goes up and takes her a rose and says goodbye to his mother. Then she passes on, and I'm reading this sitting up in my bed, and I'm just crying like everything. And Phil wakes up, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning. What in the world is wrong with you? And I said, Mom, you have got to read this book. I said, I cannot believe it. And Stephen just finished reading, and he said to me this morning, he said, Mother, I really got a lot out of that book. He said, I thought that I was a lonely person. He said, that poor man was the loneliest man in the world, because he had, he lost his wife. Lost his job, lost his wife.
didn't everything.
Every day he gave a weather report, yes. What the weather was like.
He was selling
Stephen's getting a copy made of it.
Hemphill Hardware.
You know,
There you go, on down to Sydney. Sydney stuff. He's having a lot of film there.
We're going to the hog pen. Yeah. Shannon?
Yeah.
James and JD built that chicken house right there.
Really? Still standing.
You need to go down the back.
Y'all wait on Philip and Helen. He said they had to train the chickens to lay the eggs. What? He and JD had to teach the chickens how to lay the eggs.
Hey, Dad.
actually having a night bear or something, and he'd have a quilt or something down behind the chicken house.
Hey, Dad,
Hey,
tell me about this fence down there. Did you guys put those posts up? Is
I'm
that your
sure
fence?
that's some of our old posts. Our garden was right over here to the left where those red signs are.
Uh-huh.
Down there where Hal's walking is where I used to walk every day and carry slop for the hogs.
And you had to walk back.
This is where you went and found Grandpa Parker, wasn't
He and I'd go this way, and he'd go down through there and come out at Mr. Van Hoy's and start back up the road. He'd say, I know where I am now.
But you know what, Maurice, I remember him coming up through the field on the other side of the house.
Well, he'd get lost every day.
And Granny would go after him. And she'd come up and he'd just be walking so quiet.
Granny'd go after him.
But he was just like a little kid. He
Yeah,
just
but
come-
he did not want her to come after him. He wouldn't come back.
You know, Hal said he used to go to jail to learn how to cuss.
Yeah.
Grandpa taught me how to cuss.
Maurice, you know, you were talking about how many years ago that somebody asked you about
Florence.
Florence.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know people still ask me about my daddy?
I bet they do.
Wasn't there a persimmon tree here or something?
Several down there.
Was it several? I remember
He
that.
said, I want that. Are you asking me?
What's the matter, honey?
Yeah.
Oh, and barbed wire? Whoops.
Back up just a little bit. Shannon, her daddy delivered oil here to us, and he was a big guy. There's a persimmon or something. Ever taste a persimmon?
Ooh, don't eat it now. That's not right.
Her daddy was a big guy.
I'm suspicious.
And he'd play with us kids. We'd always remember him. Do you remember her daddy?
Oh, Miss Montgomery, he was so sweet.
I don't
Yes.
understand why y'all
I just loved him.
That's awful.
Shannon, he's pulling your leg. They get right.
Jim, I told Wilford and I didn't understand why they didn't enjoy working out here. It looks to me like it'd be a lot of fun.
Just run up and down.
Did you find that cow patty?
Yeah, right in the middle.
Uh-oh.
I don't know when it hit that.
Hold on, Dad. I can't hear you. What now?
This was just a spring here. The creek's down here this way. To your right.
Would there be muscadines this time of year?
Well, this is where they were. The muscadine vines were down in here.
These are pretty good. Now there's some kind of vine twisted around that tree. Look. See how it's made the bark spiral? The crawfish here?
Yeah.
I used to go from here up to the Union Grove Church, and take off up through that way.
Right up through there and just keep walking. You come out the graveyard.
Wait, point. I can't see you. Point again. Which way?
Through there. If you kept going, you'd come out at the Union Grove graveyard. Union Grove Methodist Church graveyard.
Grandpa, have you seen that white-faced cow?
This creek is really dried up.
Cow, you're looking for me.
Pine trees?
I thought that was the prettiest creek. Still pretty.
Oh, it is.
But as dry as it's been, you can expect it to dry up a little bit, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's been really dry, too.
There's a spring down here somewhere. Wilford and James used to make a swimming hole out of it.
Skin cherry bark tree. Shannon, listen to that. We used to sit right over in here with Grandma and Grandpa Parker, and we'd skin cherry tree bark and let it dry, and they'd sell it for herbs.
So the drug company.
And after Grandpa's stroke, he thought this was home, and every time he'd run away on weekends, and this is where you'd find him, right down here.
That's a pretty place.
He thought he was home.
It is pretty. Start over.
This is a spring run coming up here, and the muscadine vines were back up here in these huge trees. Here, over there, some of the vines you see right over there on the tree are probably offspring from these. I bet those would grow. You have to have a shoot out on it. Them suckers are good. Oh, yeah. Right in here is the spring hole.
And it was sort of a
We found the vines. No muscadine.
no muscadine.
You did?
If you cut terrapin, gosh, what a big old terrapin.
The terrapin. You know, a bird dog will point them.
Yeah.
smells just like a quail, that bird does.
That's wild. I never thought about a turtle. Oh,
Take them
cute.
for initials.
Out.
Remember that?
Hey there, buddy.
Oh, muscadine
What's
vine.
this?
Just a little one.
No, that's
Yeah, no, that's something else.
yeah, big it is. Here's the. Yeah, well, that's the spring was there, and the muscadine vines were right in the behind it. Well, I see one up in yonder, a little vine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good size over here. Over here on this side. Here.
Yeah, yeah.
Bigger. Yeah, sure agree. Well, there.
I don't know that flower. Edie might be in it. I call them blue.
We just disappeared. Like him, but I hope you were peaches or you made it.
Yeah, you think about it, it's really amazing that they're all still alive.
No kidding.
Talking about us over there.
Especially
Just talking about how it's amazing nobody got killed working on the farm.
or in the wars.
Or in the wars, yeah.
I mean,
Or with each other.
Or by a wife. By an irate wife.
Yeah, there's a couple of you that probably came close on that one.
Charlie, I need a stick like that, find another.
Is there a road that comes there and somebody go get a car? Yeah. Somebody go get a car.
have you ever seen a bigger bunch?
Over him to read about our townhouse project that we were trying to keep out of the neighborhood. And he read it and that's what he called me. Mildred, do you mind if I come on with this? No, he said, I want to show you something I found. And he said, he came over and was in there to number 18.
We got talking something about where I was from or something. She said, I think you knew my nephew. I said, who's your nephew?
Right here.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember.
Good.
All right, Dad, where did you lose your foot?
All across the road. Yeah. Oh, down near the end. Down there, toward the manhole, isn't it? Yeah. The only thing I remember about the whole thing was seeing Hal give me and a red towel at my foot. Yeah. Remember that towel turned red? Boy, it was red. Remember that water further? Yes, sir.
Sick thing, and then he called me.
That was terraced pretty good, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
Now this story you should have had on the.
Oh, what? No, I missed it. What? Repeat it for me.
I was telling her about, I was talking about Aunt Martha. And
She must have lived in Elkin now.
She lived in Elkin, and I was working in the doctor's office. And she came in, and I was getting her ready to see the doctor, and we got to talking, and she asked me where I was born and all, and I said in Allegheny County. She said, well, you must have knew my nephew. He carried the mail up there. I said, who was that? And she said, Hal Templeton. I said, yeah, I believe I know that name. And I said, well, did he ever get married?
Shannon, this is the cotton field.
And she said, no, they've been many women tried to grab onto his coattail, but nobody ain't never caught him. And it was his birthday coming up. And this was 1981, and I went out and bought a birthday card that very afternoon in the drugstore and sent it to him. And when he got the card, he called me.
Oh.
And the rest is history.
And the romance began.
Isn't that neat?
Shannon, I want you to know, we used to pick cotton by the years out here.
That's what Dad always told me.
And we get to weigh it when we get home, or up to the granary. And the boys used to put rocks in their bags.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes. Then when they poured it out, of course, after they'd weighed it, we'd find them.
Yeah, those little cheaters.
They are.
Shannon, Jimmy's got something to tell you.
Let's go tell you where your daddy and I picked cotton. And sometimes we had to pick it late in the season. And it'd be cold. And we'd go walking down the furrow and we'd pick till we got as far away as where nobody could see us. And then we'd lay down and cover up with our cotton bags.
Oh.
You ever put rocks in the bag?
The boys did. I picked, as a kid, I wanted to pick 100 pounds of cotton.
Would you cheat?
Never cheated. No, I wasn't smart enough to do that. But I never picked 100 pounds of cotton in a day.
Mother said they put rocks at the bottom.
Now, one thing we used to do, Shannon,
My mother. Oh, I know the boys did.
we used to strip cane at night.
Uh-huh.
And another thing we did, we'd pull corn,
Oh, make a big row.
make a big pile of corn up in the barnyard, and the neighbors came in, and we lit torches and sat around and shucked corn at night. Corn shucking.
And the one who found an ear that was red, that was the lucky ear. It was planted in there somewhere. And they're supposed to kiss the girl of their choice.
Yeah.
But I don't think Mother would allow that.
I doubt it.
And let's see, what else? Oh, when it got so cold we couldn't pick cotton out, we'd have to pull the bowl and the cotton. We brought it in big sheets and picked it in the living room at night with neighbors.
But in the fall, we used to get out of school for cotton picking season. We'd start school in August, and then in September, we didn't have to go. We had to pick cotton.
Yeah.
I'm surprised James has taken this trip.
Been more done that.
Hey, Phil, tell them about the corn shucking.
Okay, the corn shucking, Shannon, was when you'd have a big, in the fall, you'd have a big pile of corn right here, way high, that had to be shucked for the livestock, and the neighbors would come over to help you. Everybody'd be sitting around on a nail keg or something, shucking corn and talking and visiting, and the women would bring you food and drinks and stuff like that.
And what about the red ear corn, Hal?
Trying red ear corn, you get a little shocked.
You get to
You get a
kiss
snort.
I was about to
the
say,
prettiest girl.
someone told me you got to kiss the prettiest girl, but Grandma wouldn't allow it.
Called white
Or
light.
something like that.
Well, where Ann's standing is where the corn crib was.
Yeah.
That's where we used to kill them bats and nail them on the side of the corn crib.
Where?
Right there.
Where was the corn crib?
Right there where Ann's
Oh,
standing.
okay.
Who was it went down to the Jennings and
Me and James was
opened
working
the door
on that
and
when
the
I
corn
decided to
flew
go
out and he
in.
said,
That was Turner Jenny.
Turn Jenny, he said, pour damn you pour. And the corn just came barreling out of there. Who was it? Tell that story.
It doesn't lock, Dad.
There's nothing to lock.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, Daddy, who built the barn?
My daddy built the barn, probably Hal. It was new when we were kids, but it was bigger than that. That's where we had our cows. And had the horses on this side and the cows on this side.
Old dirt dauber nest,
Yeah,
and there's probably swallow nest there.
yeah. And the barn and the door back yonder is the one that fell on Mitty.
Oh. I saw this rail up here and I was wondering if it was this rail.
It had one on the back just like that.
All right, Mom's fussing at me to get over there and film something.
Maurice, we gotta get a picture of the barn. I like people in my barn. Yay! Mother's story. Gotcha.
Mr. Jennings' brother, son-in-law. He married.
Gene, do you remember us killing bats?
Daughter, right?
Yes.
Right here's where they fly around this corn
Yeah.
crib right here.
Yeah, and you know, didn't we have a basketball hoop on
Evidently,
that
Daddy
building?
just about did that.
I wasn't know it was on the greenery.
He had a
What
stroke,
happened to green?
sunstroke.
It's gone.
Had a lot to do with
We're
his health
bugs that fly
later
around
on.
the granary. Bats are about
What happened about
That's the reason I quit farming.
Feimster was Mr. Jennings' son-in-law, but he just worked himself to death. I mean, just a fine man.
That's what farms are good for, work yourself. Right over that hill, across the road on the other side, down that farm.
They fly
That's what Maurice said.
Was it? Almost all.
Well, now, when we were coming in the car, Maurice said, and Mildred was saying that right up here is a lot, where there's a house is a lot where Helen and Bill tried to build a house but couldn't get water. Up here on the lot.
Pardon?
No, I don't care to go in.
No, I don't.
Yes, sir, I do too.
That's not the same.
I remember that pain.
Speaks and family used to live across.
I don't go in the house because it's not the same.
Mr. Rice that came right there and told Mother that Flunks got killed. Mr. Rice and Uncle Calloway's daughter.
And Mother said, which
Mosaic.
one was it?
If when he got out of the car and started walking towards the house, Mother said, which one is it?
You remember those things you used to hang on the windows with the stars?
Come here a minute, I'll tell you.
No kidding.
Listen, Shannon, come here. Phil was talking about.
There's a Speaks family that lived across the holler over there during the Second World War, and they were very poor and very uneducated. And of course, back in those days, rumors were rampant.
about everything that happened. And one day she came running over here and had heard that the war got so bad there's fighting up here in Wilkesboro. Had everybody in the neighborhood all upset.
There was a Treva and a Turgee May.
Yes, sir.
Passing one around.
You remember the one
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember playing that. Yank me over, and bet you if you didn't get it, you'd got your face full of water.
Ain't me over the house.
Right over the house.
Throw a ball over.
If you threw it over, and if you caught it, you could run, and if you hit them with a ball, you got a point.
Yeah.
I don't remember what
Yeah, I
the
remember
object
that.
of the game
Got
was.
on your
You would
team.
run around the house.
Well, you threw the ball over, and you had to catch it, and then come back around and
Did
catch
you get a
whoever was
picture
on
of
the
the
side.
barn Granny Templeton and James built?
I don't know.
Of the chicken
The
house?
chicken house. No, I need to go over there.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to go tell me about it.
James.
Go with Shannon and tell her about that barn. Chicken house. Chicken house.
Chicken house. That was our first construction project.
Was it? Well, it's still standing. That's pretty
still
impressive.
standing. It's 60 years old. It's doing pretty well. JD and I built that primarily. And we mixed the concrete in a wheelbarrow and a box
Oh,
for the whole thing. And it's got a concrete floor in it. It's 2 stories high. Got a little sway in the roof. That's because we weren't engineers and didn't get everything up there just right.
still, it's impressive. Oh, hey, where was the outhouse?
Huh? Oh, the outhouse was just about where this house is right. It's just about right in here where this house is right here. The corner of that house. Or in one of these sunken places. It might have been even. Hey, it could have been even right there in that little sunken place.
Right where that sunken place is?
Right, yeah. Isn't it a cute little house they made for children?
That's really
The
neat.
guy who owns this is a crash
Really?
super crash. Homer's house school.
Well,
You gonna let them? You not gonna let teacher that was living with us over there, George Pierce, and he was a real serious person. So I came in with a gun. Been out hunting rabbits or something. I came in with a rifle, and I said, I just don't feel good about nothing anymore. I'll be able to go up and shoot myself. And he looked at me, with a horror. And I said, as a matter of fact, I think I'll just do it now. And I just walked on upstairs, raised the window, and fired out the window, and then dropped the gun and fell on the floor.
oh, God. Oh, how mean. Oh, how mean.
He almost had a heart attack.
How old were
Before
you?
they got through with him, he did have a nervous breakdown.
How bad he did. No wonder with a mercy, what a mean young'un.
Him and JD, they were nothing they wouldn't do.
James.
Not really.
Now, who was the person?
What year were you there? You were in 52. Okay, 52.
So
So
he was
I'd have been
15. 15. Well, you were 15
14,
in October.
15, yeah.
You may have been 14 during the summer months.
Boy, was in service.
Oh, okay.
And I remember where they stayed, the lady's house. That's the first nude picture I ever saw. When you went into her foyer, she had a picture of a nude lady. You remember that? I don't know. She had a nude. I would never forget that.
But I do remember coming in from the base one day, and I said, "Where's Phil?" And Milton says, he went over to see the Giants play. I said, "What? Did what?" He said, "He went over to see the Giants play." I said, "Honey, you can't turn him loose in New York City." She said, "Well, why don't you just go look for him?"
Can you imagine today letting a 14-year-old kid go into New York City at nighttime by themselves to watch a ball game?
Well, I was upset when Pete and Bonnie let Beth go into San Francisco by herself, and she had already graduated from high school.
But the thing about it was, now Phil told me, he said,
Have you ever seen such an
he
outfit?
said they went into extra innings and the
I
game
love it.
lasted extra long, so that's why he was later. But see, he knew to take the subway over to Fordham and then catch a bus from Fordham to New Rochelle and he got on the bus and went to sleep. And when he woke up, he just reached up and pulled the bell and got off.
And that was the stop that I was supposed to got off.
You're,
I kid you not.
oh, the Lord was taking care
Listen,
of
one
you
time
big
I went
time.
to see Wilfred and Ann, and they were down on George Avenue or somewhere, or Colonial Heights or something like that. And I got a bus downtown, and then the bus over to Glen Echo Park, which is a long way.
Yeah.
Got on the roller coaster, lost all my money out of my pockets. Now I'm all the way on the other side of town, and I've got to get back to their house, and when I have no money left. So I go out and start hitchhiking out there outside the park. Where you are. And the guy said, "Where you go?" I said, "I don't know, just take me downtown if you're going there, and I'll recognize the building." So sure enough, it was the Archives building. That's where the bus stop was. So I got off, he let me off there, and that was my bus stop. But I still didn't have any money to get back. So I walked along, what am I going to do? So I asked 2 or 3 people for a dime and didn't get any help. And I looked over under a bush, and there was an empty cigarette pack laying there with a dime laying on it. And I got that dime and got on the bus and took off.
Mother's prayers was following him.
And that's what the fare was, a dime. Now, when Rachel and Bill lived up in, what were they, up in Philadelphia, Helen?
Media,
Media,
Pennsylvania.
which is outside of Philadelphia. I was younger than that. And I went to help them paint their house. They bought a new house and moved into it. And I went into town to see the Phillies play in a similar circumstance by myself. And today, you wouldn't dream of a kid do that.
You probably wouldn't do it yourself.
No, probably.
Went up, just playing in the grass, looking.
So where the cow was where the infamous outhouse was, huh?
Bought in 1913.
Well, no, this was our great-grandfather's estate.
Okay.
And he had a son that was not all there. And he lived here. And Mother and Daddy moved in 1915 and took care of him.
Yeah, now smile.
That's a good looking
About like
shot.
Wait a minute, let me get one more
Going off
close.
all the time.
It wasn't anything like it is now.
No,
That
that's why I
raised-
didn't want to see it.
Maurice said,
Where, Maurice?
that room right there is where Florence lived.
Where?
Maurice said that room right there is
The
where
lower
Florence
one?
laid, yeah, all night when she died. Of it.
Yeah, but it didn't have that kind of window.
Everybody come back. Let Bill get one.
Right here's where the bridge went across the creek over to the mill, which was on the other side of the creek. And the dam was right up here. I think I saw some of the old abutments right down here.
Yeah, but not only snakes, but briars.
Where's the bridge built out, John? This is the bridge.
There's something square on the other side.
Oh, I see that. I see that. I don't get it.
You can probably get it, Shannon.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see it down here. There's one support on that side. And here's the other older one, made of stone.
Atlanta Constitution come out.
Can you run up here and get one from the back? The reason being, we used to have to come out in the morning and wash our hands on the back porch. It didn't matter how cold it was.
Yeah.
If icicles dropped from your nose, you still
had to go wash your
before you
hands.
could eat your breakfast. And we might be able to see the spring where we went down to the spring. So,
And this is Grandma Parker?
uh-huh. And right back here.
On that porch, huh?
Yeah. And she used to have a shelf that came all the way across about waist high.
Uh-huh.
And we had to come out that kitchen door and wash our hands. Oh gosh, there's a dog. I hope he's tired.
He is. I can see it.
Can he?
I'm so afraid of dogs, too.
But that's where we had to come out and wash our hands before we could eat breakfast.
Wow.
And then down, but before we could eat, we had to go down the lane in the mornings and get the stuff out of the spring house.
Oh, the
'Cause
butter
the
and...
spring, yeah, the spring ran under the spring house.
Wow.
So I guess they don't use a spring anymore.
Wow.